It says here, quote, "Forget your accomplishments and legacy. Sooner or later, the world will forget them too. Instead, simply try to leave the world in a better place than you found it. Life is ultimately meaningless, but it's a pretty awesome gift, and you should just try to enjoy it."
Yeah, yeah. So I'm pretty sure the context for that was some dude was complaining. He was like, why I've been working so hard. I've been, building my business, blah, 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 but I just feel sort of empty, you know? And he was like, how do I get rid of this feeling? And yeah, I've just been thinking a lot. Have you heard of a philosophy called Stoicism?
Yes.
Like it's ancient Greek Stoicism, so an ancient Greek philosophy, but it's still quite relevant in the modern world, and it's very much in line with that quote that you just read out. Like it's yeah, I guess being too obsessed with accomplishments, it's a game that you can't really win because as soon as you reach your goal, like your brain naturally adapts to like, okay, this is my new baseline. Now I need my next goal and my next goal and my next goal. You know what I mean? You never. It's like you can make $1 million and you're like, yay, for like 2 weeks, and then you're like, but now I need to make $2 million and then $10 million, and like that can just scale up infinitely. So it's better to shift your attitude, I think. Like it's more robust, a healthier attitude to focus more on just doing what you can in the moment and just enjoying life, and viewing goals and accomplishments as more just like, I don't know, like a fun goal, a fun little game almost, as
Mm,
opposed to taking it so seriously that you're like, my life revolves around creating a $1 million business or something,
mm.
or you know getting an A plus on every single score,
I think
at
that,
university or something
yeah,
like that.
I think that we get that feeling every time the power goes out. we're like, wait a minute, like, oh, what is my life without the grid
Yeah,
and everything that's attached to it? Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I do. I've been massively like lately. I've been going this massive philosophy binge because I do think it's largely inspired because of my game and the unusual nature of the game, especially the uncertainty of the game, and also the the chance of such extreme success or failure. Like back when I had a 9 to 5 job, I didn't really think too much about these things because at the end of the day, I was going to make the exact same amount of money each month anyway. But because I'm so invested into this game, like 10 years into it, and it may not make much money at all when I release it, like that is the statistical likelihood, is that it won't. If it's anything like other games, it won't make a huge amount of money, but there's
yeah.
a chance it will. But I'm trying to find ways to um, like almost immunize myself from either outcome. So I don't want to be dependent upon the positive outcome. Like I don't want to be dependent upon succeeding with the
Mm.
game because it's unlikely. And you found the quote, did you?
Yeah, I did. But
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
continue.
Yeah, it is unlikely to happen. It could happen. I'm going to try my best to make it happen, but there's
Yeah.
definitely no guarantee of it happening. And so I'm trying to think of ways to view the world where it just doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that quote was sort of one of these things.
Mm.
Worrying too much about this accomplishment or that accomplishment is that can't be the way that you view the world, because you are just going to be perpetually setting yourself up for disappointment when you don't
Yeah.
achieve this or that.
Mm.
And also, I mean, whether whether or not you achieve something largely depends on how difficult a thing it is to achieve in the first place. So people may set themselves some ridiculous challenge without really quite realizing how ridiculous it is or how difficult it is, which I kind of did a little bit myself with my game until I thought realistically about it. I was like, I could tell. I don't really do this much anymore, but I could tell there was a period where I was so obsessed with the game and trying to make it work, and I was like, all that matters is that I release the game and it does well. That's all that matters. I just have to get that. Like I was like a man on a mission, which makes you nice and productive and all that, but it's not a healthy attitude because, like, I don't want to be dependent on some external thing determining whether or not I can enjoy life. Like, like I shouldn't have to depend on some external thing. I just want to have a just a better way of looking at the world. You know what I mean? And then it just
Yeah.
doesn't matter. So the way I'm sort of looking at things now in relation to my game is my game, whether my game succeeds or fails, doesn't really matter, because my real long-term goal is just to learn the skills to do this like digital nomad lifestyle, because that's my real long-term goal. And I view my game more as just like just practice. Like it's a cool project I'm working on, which I really enjoy, but it's sort of just practice and a way to
Mm.
learn skills.
Mm.
Whereas, and then but the real goal is just like in 10 years time, where will I be? That's what really
Yeah.
matters. What happens like in the next 6 months with this marketing push
Yeah.
is just irrelevant in the grand scheme of my life. And then
I
when you
mean,
zoom out on that sort of a time frame, then this guy, like the dude I was responding to, his sorts of issues just become irrelevant, and they aren't that concerning anymore, I
mm.
guess.
Huh.
Yeah.
So if you look back on your life, like let's say you're looking back on your life and in your accomplishments and that, like that's just really, I guess that's not really like a thought process that you have in that mindset. Like you
Um,
you you take different, or you take different elements of those accomplishments. You take more of the lessons that you learned than necessarily the face value, the money, the
Yeah, I think like it is a good idea to look back on your past accomplishments, I think, because it just makes you feel happy,
yeah.
There's have you heard of there's this concept called hedonic adaptation, or the
Hmm.
hedonic treadmill. Have you heard of that?
No, I haven't.
It's this psychological concept, which is pretty much what I explained. It's this idea that, no matter what level you reach in life in absolute terms, so like how much money you make, or how much weight you lose, or, whatever, there's always a next level. It's the reason why humans can have their legs chopped off, like in a car crash, but then 3 months later, when scientists ask them like how happy they are, they report just the exact same level of happiness as your average person,
Huh.
despite having no legs. You know what I mean? Because you
Yeah.
just adapt to your new circumstance. And at
Hmm.
the same time, um, someone wins the lottery, and you would think that they would be crazy happy for the rest of their life because they're like, got millions and millions of dollars. But, and they are really excited for the first month or so, but then they just get used to that new baseline. And then they're just as happy as a normal person. In fact, they are often less happy because they don't know how to manage money. They just got there by like luck instead of
Yeah, they
earning it.
didn't earn it.
Yeah,
They were just
so
got
so
this windfall of money. Yeah.
exactly. So they on average they don't know how to manage money. So they start at like, normal, then they go up to like 100 million or whatever it is, but then they don't know how to manage money. So within 2 years they've like lost half of it, and then 2 years later they've down to like a 10% of it. And so they're actually now, while they still have millions of dollars, relative to the $100 million that they used to have, they feel like they've gone like down in comparison, and so they actually feel bad about that. So the idea is what's going on externally, like what the actual sort of absolute objective state of your life is basically irrelevant, because all that really matters is internally, like how do you think about that instead? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So that's sort of like and again, this I think about this because of my game. Like what happens externally with whether my game succeeds or fails, I don't want to I don't want that to be a determining factor in, how happy I am or how stressed I am or anything like that.
Hmm.
Because it's out of my control. Like I can influence it by doing things like marketing and making a fun game, but I can't guarantee
Yeah.
that my game makes, $1 million. There's just no way I can guarantee that will happen.
Is
So as it's
it's
out of my control,
yeah.
I don't want to depend on it at all, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's like compartmentalizing the things that are within your control and things that are outside of your
Yeah,
control.
exactly.
Yeah.
In fact, that the Stoicism philosophy, a huge part of that philosophy is the idea of find the things that are in your control and only worry about
Huh.
those things. Like if it's out
Huh.
of your control, just there's why you can't do anything about it anyway. So you may as well just not worry about it. And then of the things which are in your control, then well, it's in your control. So just do what you can do, and then it's all good.